I stayed silent while my own family destroyed my life, because I needed them to think I was weak. My name is Violet Brooks. 17 years old. Sitting in a beat-up Honda at the edge of a high school parking lot in Massachusetts, still wearing half my graduation gown. The ceremony ended 20 minutes ago. Everyone else was hugging, taking photos, making dinner plans. I was eating cold fries from a paper bag, watching families through my windshield like they were characters in a movie I wasn't invited to watch. My phone sat face down on the dashboard. One text from Mom that morning, running late. Don't wait. She never showed. Dad. He stopped showing up to things 6 years ago when he moved to New Jersey with his replacement family. Birthday cards came twice a year, signed in handwriting that didn't match his. So when they called my name on stage and handed me that diploma, I smiled for exactly 3 seconds. Then I left. No pictures. No celebration. Just me, my car, and the kind of loneliness that makes your chest feel hollow. That's when someone knocked on my window. I nearly choked on a fry. Standing there in a Navy graduation robe, tassel hanging crooked, was Principal Hayes. 50-something. Gray at the temples. Expression I couldn't read. Violet, he said, voice muffled through the glass. He knocked again. May I have a word? My stomach dropped. Principals don't hunt you down in parking lots unless you're in trouble. But I was an honor student. Top 10%. I hadn't broken any rules. I cracked the window halfway. Is something wrong? He glanced around the empty lot, then leaned closer. Not wrong. Just unexpected. Why did you leave so fast? I shrugged. Didn't think anyone would notice. His eyes softened in a way that made me uncomfortable. I noticed. Silence stretched between us. Somewhere across the field, a car horn honked. Someone laughed. Then Hayes straightened up, like he was bracing himself for something. Violet, he said quietly, are you aware that you weren't supposed to graduate today? The fries slipped from my hand. What? Your name was removed from the final list 3 weeks ago. I laughed. Had to. That's not funny. I'm not joking. His jaw tightened. Your records showed an incomplete transfer credit from Connecticut. According to the system, you didn't meet the requirements. My mind went blank. But I walked the stage. I held up the diploma folder sitting on my passenger seat. He nodded slowly. Because someone put your name back on the list last night. Manually. Without authorization. The air in the car suddenly felt too thin. Who would do that? Hayes studied me for a long moment. The kind of look that said he knew something I didn't. That's what I'd like to know. He stepped back from the window. I need you to come inside with me. Now. My hands were shaking. The diploma that felt real 30 minutes ago now felt like a prop. Am I in trouble? No, he said. But someone else might be. He walked toward the school entrance without looking back. And I sat there, frozen, knowing that the second I followed him, my life was about to split into before and after. The school felt wrong when it was empty. Streamers hung from ceiling tiles like forgotten decorations. Locker doors stood half open. Our footsteps echoed down hallways that were usually packed shoulder to shoulder. Hayes didn't say a word the entire walk to his office. I followed because I didn't know what else to do. He unlocked the door, gestured for me to sit, then closed it behind us. The click of the lock made my pulse spike. Violet, he said, settling into the chair across from me, this isn't the first time your records have been altered. I gripped the armrests. Altered how? Over the past 4 years, grades adjusted upward. Absences erased from the system. Recommendation letters submitted under teachers' names, without their knowledge. The room tilted. Are you saying I cheated? I'm saying someone helped you. He leaned forward. Quietly. Strategically. Someone with access. My throat went dry. I thought about Mom, always exhausted, always working double shifts. About Dad, who vanished and only existed through unsigned cards and silence. I didn't ask for this, I whispered. I know. Hayes pulled open a drawer. Which is why I need to show you something. He slid a thin manila folder across the desk. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a printed document. At the top, a name I hadn't seen in years. Daniel Brooks. My father. And beneath it, in smaller print, another name. Robert Hayes. I looked up slowly. Why is your name here? His expression hardened. Because before I was your principal, I was a lawyer in New York. The air left the room. Years ago, he continued, I represented your father in a sealed case involving fraud, identity theft, and falsified academic records, for minors. My vision blurred. You're lying. I wish I were. He turned his computer monitor toward me. Last night, I received an anonymous email. It contained access codes, transcripts, and one message. The screen showed a single line of text. She deserves what you tried to deny her. I stared at it until the words stopped making sense. That email came from an IP address in California, Hayes said. Linked to a company your father now works for. Something inside me cracked. Not sadness. Not anger. Something colder. My entire life, I thought I was invisible. Forgotten. The kid nobody showed up for. But I wasn't. I had been managed. Your father disappeared before sentencing, Hayes said. Changed states. Changed lives. But he didn't stop pulling strings. I couldn't breathe. So everything I did was real, he interrupted. Your effort was real. But the system was rigged in your favor. He let that sink in. I didn't stop the graduation, Hayes said quietly, because I wanted to see what he'd do. And now I know. I met his eyes. So what happens now? He leaned back, fingers pressed together like he was holding something fragile. That depends on what you want, Violet. Hayes reached into his desk drawer again. This time, he placed a flash drive on the surface between us. Small. Black. Ordinary looking. Your father didn't just change records, he said. He kept copies. Evidence. Confessions. Enough to destroy himself, or anyone connected to him. I stared at the drive like it might explode. Why are you showing me this? Because, Hayes said, standing, your father thinks he's still in control. He walked to the window, hands clasped behind his back. Outside, the last few families were leaving the parking lot. Balloons drifted into the sky. When I left law, he said, it was because I helped people like your father escape consequences. Wealthy clients. Connected clients. People who could afford to make problems disappear. His reflection in the glass looked older than the man standing in front of me. Your father's case was my breaking point. He walked free because I found every loophole. And when he vanished, I realized I'd helped him do exactly what he planned all along. He turned back to face me. So I became a principal. I thought if I couldn't stop people like him, at least I could protect kids from becoming collateral damage. I picked up the flash drive. It was lighter than I expected. What's on here? Everything. Hayes sat down again. Bank records. Email threads. Names of other families he's worked with. A whole network. My stomach turned. Other families? He nodded. This isn't just about you, Violet. Your father built a business out of this. Parents pay him to manipulate school systems for their kids. Grade changes. Test scores. Recommendation letters. He's been doing it for years. I felt sick. And my mom. Hayes hesitated. Just for a second. But I caught it. There are records of payments, he said carefully. Monthly deposits to an account in her name. Labeled household support. The room spun. Mom knew. Maybe not everything. But enough. I didn't ask for any of this, I said again, louder this time. I know. Hayes's voice was steady. Which is why you get to decide what happens next. I looked at the flash drive in my palm. Then at the diploma folder I'd left sitting on his desk. If I do nothing, I said slowly, I keep the diploma. Go to college. Pretend none of this happened. Yes. And if I don't? Hayes exhaled. Then we go to the authorities. Your diploma gets revoked pending investigation. Your father gets exposed. And you. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Outside, a car engine started. Someone drove away. I stood up, slipping the flash drive into my pocket. I need time to think. Hayes nodded. You have until Monday. After that, I'm obligated to report what I know. I walked to the door, hand on the handle. Violet. I looked back. Whatever you choose, he said, make sure it's yours. I didn't go home right away. Instead, I drove to the public library 3 towns over. Somewhere nobody knew me. Somewhere I could think. The computer lab was empty except for one kid playing games in the corner, headphones on, oblivious. I plugged in the flash drive. It took 30 seconds to load. Then my screen filled with folders. Dozens of them. Each labeled with initials and dates. DB_2019_Massachusetts DB_2020_Connecticut. DB_2021_New York DB_2022_California. I clicked on the Massachusetts folder. Inside were PDF scans. Report cards. Transcripts. Before and after versions, side by side. My name at the top of each one. Algebra 2, C+ changed to B. AP History, B changed to A-. Attendance, 12 absences reduced to 3. Every change was small. Nothing dramatic enough to trigger suspicion. But together, they added up to a completely different student. I opened another folder. Initials I didn't recognize. TK_2021_Connecticut. Same pattern. Grade adjustments. Absence erasures. A recommendation letter from a teacher who, according to email timestamps, never wrote it. Then I found the financial records. A spreadsheet titled Client_Payments_2018-2025. Rows and rows of names. Amounts ranging from $5,000 to $50,000. Payment schedules. Notes about services rendered. Halfway down the list, I saw it. Lydia Brooks, $800 per month, ongoing since 2019. My mother's name. I sat back in the chair, hands shaking. $800 a month for 4 years. That was over $38,000. Money we desperately needed. Money that kept the lights on, paid rent, bought groceries. Blood money. I kept scrolling. Found another document labeled expansion_plan_2025.pdf. It was a proposal. Professional. Polished. Outlining how to scale the operation nationally. Partnerships with administrators in 6 states. Projected revenue in the millions. My father wasn't just a criminal. He was building an empire. And I was proof of concept. The kid in the corner laughed at something on his screen. The sound felt like it was coming from another dimension. I ejected the flash drive and sat there in the silence, staring at the blank monitor. Every award I'd won. Every acceptance I'd received. Every time a teacher told me I was doing great. How much of it was real? How much of it was him? My phone buzzed. Unknown number. California area code. I stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Hello. Hey, sweetheart. My father's voice. Calm. Casual. Like we talked every day. Congratulations on graduating. I couldn't breathe. I know you talked to Hayes, he continued. So let's have a conversation. Adult to adult. How did you get this number? My voice came out steadier than I felt. I've always had your number, Violet. He sounded amused. I'm your father. You stopped being my father 6 years ago. Is that what your mother told you? A pause. Let me guess, she said I abandoned you. Left for a better life. Never looked back. I didn't answer. Did she mention the checks I sent? The tuition payments for your SAT prep courses. The laptop you got for your birthday 2 years ago, the one she said she saved up for. My stomach clenched. The laptop was sitting in my car right now. You're lying. Am I? His tone shifted, less friendly now. Ask her about the deposit on March 15, 2023. $1,700. Same day your car insurance was due. I closed my eyes. That was the day Mom told me she'd gotten a bonus at work. Why are you calling? Because Hayes showed you the flash drive, and now you're sitting in some library trying to figure out what kind of person I am. He was right. How did he? Don't look so surprised. I know which library. 3rd computer from the left. My blood went cold. I spun around. The kid in the corner was still gaming, oblivious. Nobody else was in the room. But the security camera in the corner had a blinking red light. Relax, Dad said. I'm not there. But I do have access to certain systems. Comes with the job. What job? Ruining people's lives. He laughed. Actually laughed. I help families. Parents who want their kids to have opportunities they never had. Is that so terrible? You falsify records. You commit fraud. I level the playing field, he corrected. Rich kids have been cheating the system for centuries. Legacy admissions. Donation buildings. Private tutors. All I do is give middle-class families the same advantages. By breaking the law. By doing what's necessary. His voice hardened. You think you got into AP classes on merit alone? You think teachers recommended you because they saw potential? Violet, you were a B- student with attendance problems. I made you exceptional. The words hit like a slap. I worked for those grades. You did, he agreed. And I made sure that work counted. Without me, you'd be heading to community college right now. With me, you have options. I wanted to hang up. Wanted to throw the phone across the room. But I needed to hear this. What do you want from me? Nothing, he said simply. I want you to live your life. Go to college. Be successful. Prove that what I built works. And if I don't? If I go to the police? Silence stretched for 3 seconds. Then you destroy yourself too, sweetheart. Every achievement you have is connected to me. Every scholarship application. Every college acceptance letter. They'll take it all back. He let that sink in. You can expose me, he continued quietly. But you'll lose everything. Is that really what you want? You don't get to do this, I said. You don't get to disappear for 6 years and then act like you're protecting me. I never disappeared. His voice was calm. Too calm. I was protecting you the whole time. From a distance. Making sure you had what you needed. I needed a father. You needed stability. Food. A roof. A future. I gave you all of that. My hands were shaking. You gave Mom guilt money. I gave her survival money, he snapped. After the divorce, she could barely keep the lights on. She was working 60 hours a week and still couldn't make rent. So yes, I helped. And she took it. Gladly. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. I remembered those years. The eviction notices. The nights Mom cried in the bathroom. The weeks we ate nothing but rice and canned soup. Then things got better. Slowly. Quietly. I always thought she got promoted. You should be thanking me, Dad continued. Instead, you're sitting there acting like I'm the villain. Like Hayes is some kind of hero. He told me the truth. He told you his version. Dad's voice dropped. Did he mention that he took money to defend me? That he knew exactly what I was doing and helped me walk free? He's not clean in this, Violet. Nobody is. I hadn't considered that. Hayes admitted he'd represented Dad, but he made it sound like he didn't know the full extent. What if he was lying too? Hayes wants to expose you, I said. He has evidence. He has copies, Dad corrected. I have originals. And insurance. If he tries to take me down, I'll make sure everyone knows he was complicit. His career ends too. Then why did you send him that email? Why put my name back on the graduation list? For the first time, Dad hesitated. Because you earned it, he said finally. Whatever help I gave you, you still did the work. You showed up. You tried. And I wasn't going to let some bureaucratic error take that away from you. His voice softened in a way that made my chest ache. I know I wasn't there, Violet. I know I missed birthdays and holidays and all the things a father should show up for. But I was always watching. Always making sure you had a chance. I pressed my palm against my forehead. This isn't love. This is control. It's both, he said simply. And you can hate me for it. But don't pretend you didn't benefit. A librarian walked past the computer lab, glanced inside, kept moving. I have a business now, Dad continued. Legitimate on paper. Clients across 4 states. Revenue projections in the millions. And I need someone I trust to help me expand. My breath caught. You can't be serious. You're smart. Capable. And you understand how the system works now. In 5 years, you could be running this operation. I'm 17. You'll be 18 in 2 months. Old enough to make your own choices. He paused. Think about it, Violet. You can destroy me and lose everything. Or you can join me and never worry about money again. The line went dead. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my car outside the school parking lot, staring at my phone. Dad's words kept looping through my head. You can destroy me and lose everything. By the time the sun came up, I'd made a decision. I walked into school at 7:30. Hayes was already in his office, door open, grading papers. He looked up when I knocked. "Violet." He set down his pen. "I wasn't expecting you until Monday. I need to ask you something." I stepped inside and closed the door. "And I need the truth." He gestured to the chair. I stayed standing. "When you represented my father," I said, "did you know what he was doing?" Hayes's jaw tightened. "I suspected." "That's not an answer." He leaned back in his chair. "I knew he was involved in academic fraud. I didn't know the full scope. And I was paid to defend him, not judge him." "You helped him go free?" "Yes." No hesitation this time. "I found every legal loophole I could. That was my job. And now you want to take him down." I crossed my arms. Convenient timing. Hayes stood up. "I left that career because it was destroying me. Every case I won made the world a little worse. Your father's case was the final straw. So this is about redemption for you. This is about stopping him before he destroys more lives." Hayes moved toward the window. "I spent the last 2 years tracking his operation. Gathering evidence. Waiting for the right moment. And I'm that moment." He turned to face me. "You're the proof. If I go after him alone, he'll bury me with legal maneuvers and counter-accusations. But if you come forward, a victim who didn't ask for any of this, the case becomes much stronger." I felt cold. "So you need me?" "I need your testimony, yes." He met my eyes. "But I won't force you. This has to be your choice. My father said you're not clean in this either. That you took money knowing what he was doing." "He's right," Hayes said quietly. "I did. And I've spent 7 years trying to make up for it. Teaching. Protecting students. Building cases against people like him." He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a folder. "This is every piece of evidence I have. Bank records. Client lists. Email chains. Enough to bring down his entire operation, and anyone connected to it." He placed it on the desk between us. "If you testify, your diploma gets revoked. You'll have to re-earn your credits legitimately. College acceptances will be questioned. Your mother will face charges for accepting payment." My throat tightened. "But if you don't," Hayes continued, "your father keeps operating. More families get involved. More students have their lives manipulated." He sat down. "I can give you justice, Violet. Or I can give you your future. Not both." The room fell silent. Outside, students started arriving for summer school sessions. "What would you do?" I asked. Hayes looked at me for a long moment. "I'd burn it all down." I got home around noon. Mom was in the kitchen, still in her work scrubs, heating up leftovers. She smiled when she saw me. "There's my graduate." She opened her arms for a hug. I didn't move. Her smile faded. "What's wrong?" I pulled out my phone and opened the photo I'd taken of the spreadsheet. Turned the screen toward her. Lydia Brooks, $800 per month, ongoing since 2019. The color drained from her face. "Violet. Don't." I set the phone on the counter. "Don't lie to me. Not now." She lowered herself into a chair like her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. "How did you get that? Does it matter?" She stared at her hands. "I can explain." "Then explain." My voice came out harder than I intended. "Explain why you've been taking money from him for 4 years. Mom's eyes filled with tears. We were drowning. After the divorce, I was working 2 jobs and we still couldn't make ends meet. The eviction notices kept coming. You needed school supplies, food, clothes. So you took his money. He offered to help. She looked up at me. He said it was the least he could do since he wasn't there. I didn't know, her voice cracked. I didn't know what he was doing with your school records. But you suspected something. She didn't answer. That was answer enough. He would call sometimes, she said quietly. Ask about your grades. About your teachers. I thought he was just being interested in your life. And the documents he asked you to sign. Her face went pale. He said they were consent forms. For college applications and financial aid. I didn't read them carefully. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You didn't read them. I was working 16-hour shifts, Violet. I was exhausted. And he was your father. I trusted. You were complicit. The word hung between us like smoke. You took his money and signed his papers and didn't ask questions because it was easier. Mom stood up, reaching for me. Please, you have to understand. I do understand. I stepped back. You chose survival over honesty. And now I have to choose whether to protect you or do what's right. Her expression shifted from guilt to fear. What are you talking about? Principal Hayes knows everything. He has evidence. And he's giving me until Monday to decide if I'm going to testify against Dad. Mom's hand went to her mouth. If you do that, you'll face charges. I know. I picked up my phone. But if I don't, he keeps doing this to other families. Other kids. Violet, please. She was crying now. We'll lose everything. The house. My job. You'll lose your diploma, your college acceptances. I never really had them, I said quietly. Did I? I spent the weekend in my room. Mom knocked on my door 6 times. I didn't answer. Saturday night, I plugged in the flash drive again and went through every file. Not just mine, all of them. There was a kid in Connecticut whose SAT scores were changed 3 times. A girl in New York who got into Yale with a recommendation letter her teacher never wrote. A boy in California whose entire transcript was fabricated. Dozens of families. Hundreds of altered records. Millions of dollars. And in every case, the same pattern, struggling parents, desperate for their kids to have better lives. Dad targeted people who couldn't afford to say no. People like Mom. I found communications between Dad and his network. Administrators he'd paid off. AT specialists who gave him system access. Even a college admissions counselor who flagged applications for special consideration. This wasn't just fraud. It was a machine. And I was sitting on the kill switch. Sunday morning, I made a list. If I stay silent, keep my diploma, go to college, maybe if Mom stays out of jail, Dad keeps operating, more families get manipulated, I live knowing I let it happen. If I testify, lose my diploma, repeat senior year, Mom faces charges, Dad gets exposed, operation shuts down, I lose everything I thought I earned. I stared at that list for 2 hours. Then I opened my laptop and started writing. Not a statement for the police, not yet. A letter. To myself. Dear Violet. By the time you read this, you'll have made your choice. And whatever you decided, I hope you can live with it. The truth is, I'm terrified. Terrified of losing everything. Terrified of being nobody. Terrified that without Dad's help, I was never good enough in the first place. But I'm more terrified of becoming him. Of thinking that success only matters if you win. That rules don't apply if you're clever enough. That other people are just collateral damage in your story. Mom always said I was the strongest person she knew. I never believed her. Maybe it's time I did. I saved the document. Closed the laptop. Then I picked up my phone and called Hayes. He answered on the first ring. Violet. I'm coming in tomorrow, I said. And I'm bringing everything. There was a long pause. Are you sure? I looked around my room. At the laptop Dad bought. The desk Mom saved for. The diploma hanging on my wall that was never really mine. No, I said honestly. But I'm doing it anyway. I'll be here. I hung up. Outside my window, the sun was setting. Monday morning felt both too far away and too close. I didn't sleep that night either. But this time, it wasn't fear keeping me awake. It was clarity. Monday morning, I walked into Hayes's office with the flash drive, my phone recordings, and a 20-page written statement. He looked tired. Like he hadn't slept either. You're sure about this? He asked one last time. Ask me again and I might change my mind. He almost smiled. Then he picked up his phone and made 2 calls. One to the state education board. One to a detective he knew in the fraud division. By noon, there were 3 people in suits sitting across from me, recording my testimony. I told them everything. The flash drive. The phone call. The payments to Mom. The expansion plans. They asked questions for 4 hours. When it was over, the lead investigator shook my hand. You did the right thing, she said. I didn't feel like I had. That evening, federal agents raided Dad's office in California. Arrested him and 6 associates. Seized computers, files, bank records. It made the news by 10 o'clock. Mom watched the broadcast from our couch, crying silently. She'd already spoken to a lawyer. Plea deal in exchange for full cooperation. Probation, community service, restitution payments. She'd keep her nursing license. Barely. I'm sorry, she whispered. For all of it. I sat down next to her. I know. We didn't say anything else. Just sat there while the news anchor talked about the academic fraud ring that had operated for 7 years across multiple states. My name wasn't mentioned. Minor protections. But I knew people would figure it out eventually. The next week, my diploma was officially revoked. College acceptances were put on hold pending investigation. I had to meet with my old teachers and prove which work was actually mine. Turned out, most of it was. My grades dropped from A's to B's when they recalculated everything honestly. But I still qualified to graduate, barely. They offered me a chance to walk at the makeup ceremony in December. I declined. I'd already had my graduation. The real one was just paperwork. 6 months later, I re-enrolled as a senior. Retook 3 classes. Spent lunch periods in the library, head down, ignoring whispers. Some people called me a snitch. Others called me brave. Most just avoided me. Hayes checked in once a week. Never pushed. Just reminded me I wasn't alone. In February, I got my real diploma. No ceremony. Just Hayes handing it to me in his office. How does it feel? He asked. Lighter, I said. And I meant it. That spring, I reapplied to colleges. Wrote essays about integrity, second chances, and what it means to earn something honestly. Got accepted to 3 schools. Small scholarships. Nothing fancy. But they were mine. Graduation day, the real one, I walked across that stage in a rented gown with my grandmother in the audience. Mom's mother, who I'd reconnected with after everything fell apart. She cried when they called my name. Afterward, I saw Hayes standing near the parking lot. He nodded once. I nodded back. No words needed. I didn't eat alone in my car this time. Instead, I went to dinner with my grandmother. We talked about the future. About nursing school. About starting over. Someone asked me later if I regretted it. Burning everything down. I thought about that question for a long time. Then I realized, people who betray you don't deserve a warning. And people who manipulate you don't deserve your silence. I didn't regret it. I finally knew who I really was.